And I remember asking Playboy when I wanted to work with Tiger's instructor out in Vegas, and it cost 10 grand for a couple of days. And I said, hey, Playboy, hey, Hef, will you guys help me pay for that? Because I'm out here every week and all they talk about is Playboy. And that was before I was really doing too much. I wasn't into sports completely yet. So Playboy was my title. Everybody talked about that. And they have said, no, I'm not going to have you go out there and just have 1 week. I want you to have somebody local. So I went in Riviera and got the top coach there. And that was years where I was seeing him twice a week, 8 a.m. And it was so cool because I'd show up and I remember seeing on the, in the driving range, Stallone and Kevin Costner. And there I am with my instructor out there and bing, bing. It was so fun.
Welcome, fellow lushes. Come on in, pull up a bar stool, and enjoy some cocktails with Dimples and the Beard.
Hi, boys.
Hello, and thank you for joining us, Lisa Dergan, Miss July 1998.
Playmate.
We are just so fortunate to have fallen into the Playmate world and consider ourselves so lucky, and we appreciate you coming on to talk a little bit.
We've been very lucky.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys are big supporters and you are everywhere, and we see you and we love you guys. So I'm excited to join you.
Yeah, the only thing I'm gonna have to talk to Victoria and have her help me get a NFT wallet or whatever I need.
She can walk us through it. She's the pro.
She is amazing. She knows she's so well versed in this that all of us girls, every time we talk to her, we learn so much. And there's only about 5% that we know compared to her. I mean, she's just been so, for the past couple of years.
Well, we've had her on twice and I still don't know anything. All I know is
she took her time and went through a lot of stuff with us. So she was wonderful. Yeah.
All I know is the art that she and her partner are creating is beautiful art. And anybody who is into the Playboy world, the Playmate collectible, needs to go check out Gatefolds, the Rogue Bunnies.
It is amazing. It's so weird to see. I mean, it's hard to describe until people see it, but it's so beautiful and she's so talented and it's so unique and it's so her unique style. And I mean, it's like, how Andy Warhol had his look. She has her look. True. And it's so neat to see your face with her art. And I'm going to treasure these forever and ever. And hopefully others are going to too.
Well, it looks like I've been watching some of the bidding and it looks like they're doing well. Very popular. So
you know what I've heard? So many people still don't know this world.
Right.
That they went on to bid for it and they realized, oh, I can't bid with money. It sounds pretty obvious, but it really is confusing still to a lot of people. And I know we're just on the cusp of
expanding
in the next year. I really feel like everybody's going to know.
So what was your involvement with like NFTs or knowledge prior to her reaching out to you? Any? Good.
I didn't know. She was talking about it. And Vic and I are really close. She's one of the Playmates that I always adored and worked with probably more than most. Okay. So we're really close. And she always would mention this to a group of us girls, and everybody's like, NFT, what is she talking about? And she's like, I'll get you guys all on board. We'll explain. And it was just such a big thing to just talk about. And she still, whenever she has us on the phone, she takes the time to describe every little detail, any questions you have. I don't know when she sleeps. I don't know when she finds the time to do this art. She's incredible. She's like a machine right now. She's so talented.
But she's passionate about it, that's for sure. So she's driving.
Yeah, I know she was telling us that you can sometimes find her in the Discord at like 3:00 in the morning because she'll wake up and just go and search out.
When she was on the Discord with a group, flew somewhere, got off the plane, hopped on it and everybody was like, hey, you're back. I mean, she's devoted.
Yeah, it's obviously a big passion for her, and it's awesome. I mean, I like I said, I need to get in touch with her and find out how to set up whatever I need to set up so that I can bid, because I want to, because like you said, this is so brand new, and like you're talking, people don't know that they need. I mean, you need like a
crypto,
crypto to bid. I mean, imagine 5 years from now when everybody knows that what these things are going to be worth.
Oh, we'll be at Starbucks and paying for things with that on our phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll help you. She says it's quite simple. She's helping all of us girls in a group set it up real quickly. So it doesn't take much.
Sure.
It's kind of like setting up your Venmo account, just set it up real quick and connect it to your bank account and you're set.
Yeah. And if it's that easy, I definitely got to get in because I would love to get one. I mean,
so as she was talking to you about it, and then I'm assuming she was mentioning it prior to asking you to come aboard.
Yes.
And then when she asked you to come aboard, was it, I'm not so sure, or hey, if you're in, I'm in?
Oh, especially this first group of 13. It's extra special that you're the first. It's also scary because we're kind of, you're not a guinea pig, but you kind of are, because we're all just learning this together, all of us girls. And the bidding's only getting more and more as the next bid goes out for the next one and the next NFT. And we're going to have a big drop beginning of July, I believe the 5th. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
We wanted to stay away from the 4th, but everything's going to go crazy after that with this, all 13 of us are just it's going to go nuts. This first one that went out was a special gold NFT, which gets you in the metaverse and all these things. We could go down those rabbit holes if you guys want, but I'm learning with you. So
yeah, no, absolutely. If you know anything about the metaverse in the virtual mansion or whatever, fill us in, because I think anytime people get a chance to hear it is good.
And it's just not us that you're filling in. You'll be filling in, anybody, just so that imagine this: whoever watching us knuckleheads are just as just lost as we are.
Yeah.
And we've had some lessons from the group, the best. So yeah.
Well, this is the question for Vic, because we're still learning too. But I know that the first gold NFT, like mine, Ava's, there's going to be, the first ones that we've already sold and the ones that are about to sell, guarantee that the purchaser of that NFT gets the key. And if you noticed, we were holding a key in the picture, looking over our shoulder. That's a guarantee you're into the metaverse, meta mansion. And it's where, when you're in there, we're in there, and it's God, I'm going to make this sound crazy. We're all in there together, but there's another part that we're all going to be a part of. And it's kind of like the Pokemon. And I'm not selling it correctly because of the terminology. I'm not going to get it just right, but there's already locations where it'll look like we're all in Miami in the art district. And that's a location that I know, one of the locations where everyone's going to be able to be in the metaverse, and I'll be there, or Ava will be there, or just whatever Playmate is going to be involved that day. And we're all in, and you know how with Pokemon, you saw it on your phone. I didn't do Pokemon, but I know it was crazy when I was in New York and everybody was running across it was nuts. Everybody was going nuts. And you're going to get to do that with Playmates. So
who doesn't want to chase a Playmate?
Right? Yeah. I'm much more interested in a Playmate than Pokemon. I can tell you that. So
well, that's good. Yeah, that's a compliment.
Yeah, a very obvious one. Yeah.
Very obvious. Yes.
But I think people that are starting to understand this world and what's coming are going to get the excitement of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's obviously things are moving in that direction. So,
and it's moving so fast that we're still learning how to say it. Obviously, I need more help on it too, because we're learning as we go. We have meetings every week, and it's a group meet. It's so fun. I've got to say, the best thing about this whole experience, besides all of us doing Playboy and having that common sorority of friendships, and there's no jealousy. We're tight. I don't have one enemy in Playboy. All the girls, we all have such a a unique bond where once you became a Playmate, you were in, and everybody just, we all love each other so much, and we're back together again. It's kind of like she got the band back together again.
How great is that?
Yeah. I mean, just even when we have, I know tonight there's a poker tournament that if I wasn't here, I'd be on the, you know, doing the tournament. So we're all doing a tournament with all these fans, and then just even our meetings, we sit in our meetings and everybody's asking questions, or we're going over security. That's a big thing, guys. There's a lot of crazies where they're trying to get in and steal the crypto money. And so we're really protecting ourselves because we're a target. I mean, the NFT world is such a man's world still. And we're one of the first group of women that already had a following that are starting these NFTs, which makes it even extra special and great for you guys too.
Yeah, so, that's a great point. Yeah.
I
didn't think of that part, that, you know, a big group of women that got through. You're one of the first. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we're working with the guys that do MLB and WWE and NBA and us. So it's a big deal.
That's
who
awesome.
We're working with. It's a really big deal.
So speaking of Playmates, what is your story? How did you get to Playboy?
Discovered, auditioned. What was your path?
Well, I finished. Okay. So when I was in college, I went to San Diego State. I grew up in San Diego. My junior and senior year, I was modeling all the time in Los Angeles, driving back and forth because I still had to finish school. And I was working with an LA agency that had me go to Playboy, because Playboy does, as you know, they had great articles and a great magazine. Besides the centerfold every month, they had it was an incredible magazine and a ton of editorial work where they needed models. And the very first job I got hired for was to shoot down in Cabo San Lucas, shooting all the swimsuit campaign for the following spring. And so me and a guy went down with Arnie Freytag and their whole team. And the whole time it was so professional, and Arnie being one of their top, two in Los Angeles to shoot with, he and I had such a good rapport. He loves golf. I play golf. He kept saying, you should really think about being a Playmate. We'll make your pictorial about golf. And I said, emphatic, no way, no how. And I was working a lot. And when I moved to LA, I was working completely just modeling and commercials and really busy. So I didn't know if it would hurt me, but I kept it in the back of my head thinking, this is pretty cool. They hired me like 4 or 5, 6 more times, because I don't know if you remember, Hef had brought back these 1-page ads. What sort of man reads Playboy? Well, the one, I always think of the one where we went helicopter skiing. Well, we didn't really. The helicopter was behind us, and we flew to Utah to shoot ski pictures. And it was Layla Roberts, me, we were the 2 Playmates. And then they had these other models with us to look like we're all skiing, but I'm in the forefront with one of the male models and the kind of guy that helicopter skis. And we just look like we're having fun. And these 1-page ads, we'd fly all over and shoot them. One time I was in a fighter pilot, it was a military picture, and I was, crawling up to kiss my boyfriend who's flying the plane. And that was what sort of man reads Playboy? Well, the guy that flies, in the military. And these ads were really kind of cool. It was just a 1-page ad. I got to go back and find all of mine. I don't know where any of them are. I think I have just the more recent ones, but I think when I first started way back in the day, I'd love to find them. But I kept shooting those, and they kept calling me back, and they kept saying, you would be so great for Playboy. You really should consider it. And when I was shooting in Utah with Stephen Wada, he said the same thing. And he said, I want to shoot you. So there's that, oh, I want to shoot you. I want to shoot. And then I worked in Chicago for a couple of those ads. And that was Richard Fagley. And he said, you got to be a Playmate. What are you thinking? And it's because of Victoria. I know I've told this story before, but my roommate at the time was close to Victoria and they worked together. And so Vic was in my living room and I met her and she said, have you ever thought of being a Playmate? And I said, well, they keep asking, but and I knew she was a Playmate, but I told her I was nervous. And she said, you know, they're going to stop asking you. And I never forgot that, because there was a part of me that realized, you know, this is going to dissipate. It is going to go away because they keep asking and I keep saying no.
Yeah.
And it was because of that. And I remember being in the studio twice a week. They would have open call where anybody off the street could audition and try to be a Playmate, and they would take your Polaroid, and they were always kind to everybody. They gave everybody a chance.
Yeah.
But they had this whole room in the studio that was just logged of all of the Polaroids of all the rejects. And it was wall to wall Polaroids, all documented. And Arnie popped in there, or one of his assistants popped me in there, and they go, you want to see how many girls try out? You should really do this. And the room just fascinated me. And I remember I pulled one out, and it was like, it really looked like a transvestite. It was a guy that walked in there and wanted to be a Playmate. And it was the one I picked up, and I'm looking, but they documented him and gave him his 2 minutes of trying out. And they were really fair about that, because they would find girls that way, just walking in off the street. So I finally said yes. Arnie and Steven shot it. My whole pictorial was about golf. And it was funny, the first couple of days shooting, we were in Palm Springs, and Alexis Vogel, who was God, I can't believe she's gone, but she did all the makeup. We got everything all done. And then Arnie and I went and played golf all day. And so my first day of shooting, I'm playing golf. I'm fully clothed, but I'm out there shooting, and he's, you know, I'm hitting balls right at him. But if you could see in the first page of my pictorial, the ball's coming right at the camera. And yeah, so, and then we were in the locker room at one of those, I'm sure the guy who saw his nameplate on the locker with me naked in front of it is probably
in heaven.
Probably like, what the heck happened that day? Where was I?
Right. Why didn't I golf that day?
I know.
Be there.
I'm sure he's got it framed somewhere at this point.
Oh, heck yeah.
I was just talking about it. I just thought of that. It's so funny. But we had a great shoot. I had a manager at the time that got a call from Callaway the day the magazine hit the stands. And he goes, Lisa, we're flying down to Callaway. They want to sponsor you.
How great.
I know. I know. It was really cool. And so instead of driving down, he flew us down on a single engine, and we got down there for the meeting. They fit me with clubs, and God, that was a relationship I had with them for many years. And they gave me a few sets. So it was a great relationship.
Yeah.
Was it
Callaway clubs would be nice.
Just crazy after that, after the episode your magazine comes out and just
boom. Yeah. And then TaylorMade, and I got all the FootJoy shoes and TaylorMade. I got Pro V1 golf balls. And then Playboy would give me all the balls with the bunny on it, and I would have my name stamped on it. So my nickname is Dergy, and there's, you know, in the rough everywhere. If I hit a bad shot, there's Dergy.
Do you have any? Do you have any left?
Oh gosh, yeah. And as a matter of fact, I have a bowl of them in my office because it looks cool, and all the places that I've played, and I have different, just different balls of places that whatever, and I've got extras, so I thought it looked cool in a bowl. And every time I have a party or people are over here, they get snagged. So I got to be careful.
You got to watch them now.
Right?
Security camera just on your golf balls.
I know. Isn't that silly?
So where did the love for golf come from?
My mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so as a kid, my mom was always playing golf. And it was my sister and I growing up. She's never played once, but for some reason, I was really close to my mom, and I would always want to drive the golf cart.
Sure.
So I would always go with her on Saturdays and drive the golf cart for her. And that got old for a while for her. And she had me get out of the cart and try the game. And I
Was
hooked.
Was she eager to teach you?
Yes. But she's so by the book still to this day. I mean, no mulligans, nothing, but she would wait until we were a few holes out. It was in San Diego. Well, I played on a little military course, 9-hole course down at 32nd Street, but I lived right near Admiral Baker, which was another military course. And that was an 18-hole course. And that was a big deal that my mom, first of all, I never played it entire 18 holes with her because she never felt I was ready. And I was living in LA and playing in tournaments and sponsored by Callaway, and she never thought I was ready. And I was ready, but that's how
clearly.
Oh yeah. She always waited until we were away from the, checking in with the clubhouse and starting our 18 holes. She would wait until like the second or third hole when nobody from the clubhouse could see us. Nobody was behind us. And that's something I wish everybody out there, I see this all the time. Learning how to play as a kid was so beneficial for me. And the way I was taught with following all the rules and learning about golf etiquette, it was, I remember running around, and after one of my lessons, my teacher said to my mom, Carol, make sure you teach her all about golf. We talked about golf etiquette a lot today. So now that you're going to play, make sure she knows what she's doing. And so I really honor the rules of golf, and there is a lot of rules, and it's cool. It's tradition. And I can't stand it when I'm out there and I see women that are wearing tennis skirts and their cheeks are hanging out. And it's just so inappropriate, because I wasn't ever like that on the course, nor would I want to, because it would take away, I would feel like I'm an object. Instead, I got to focus on the game. I'm out there with my ponytail and I'm sporty. But here's where I'm circling back to what I was trying to say, because I kind of went down a rabbit hole. But I learned slowly, and I was taken out to par 3 courses that were tiny. And that gave me the confidence. And I see so many people out there bringing their wife to go play 18 holes with the guys. And that's so intimidating for her. Or even a guy that's never played. And then you go out there and you're hacking it up. Of course you're hacking it up. You've never played.
Right.
And there's something about starting slow. And I'm doing that with my son. That's recipe for failure if you're starting out, the way that my mom wouldn't even let me. I mean, it was a big deal to play an 18-hole course to her.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was disrespectful to the people behind you if you've got some kid out there, or even an adult. I've played with so many guys, or at the time, my boyfriend in college or my ex-husband, I'd be out there with him and all the baseball players, and their wives couldn't play. And it was frustrating for me because I play. So I would move ahead with the guys, and all the girls were just hacking it up. And I didn't want to play if they're just goofing off. I mean, it's a
You respect the
serious game,
Yeah. Total respect for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to your kind of with your mom waiting a couple holes to go out to let you start.
Yeah.
And if you got going and another team got behind you real close, did she ever say, sit this one out?
She would say, pick up. Oh, I heard that all the time. Pick it up. Or if I was not knowing what I was doing, because this was right before I even started with lessons, and
Sure,
she was just getting me trying it out. She would always say, pick up. And she'd kind of just have that tone like, we're not going to waste time out here. We're going to get you lessons. And then I had lessons, and then it was 2 days a week. And I was racing out of class on Thursdays. We had half days for some reason that year on Thursdays. So I'd race out, and my mom would be picking me up, and we'd go straight to play. And on Saturdays, I had my lesson in the morning, and then she and I would play 18, or that at the time it was a par 9. So
Nice.
or par, yeah.
So I'm assuming she was very good.
She's excellent. She's still playing 3 days a week, and she's in her 80s.
Oh, bless her.
That's awesome.
She's had 3 hole-in-ones.
Have you had any?
I was really close. Santa Barbara, I was a foot away from, I have a picture of it. But
That's nice.
yeah, I almost did.
So Does your mom still beat you?
I beat her last month when I was in San Diego.
Yeah.
So,
when was the first time you beat her?
Yes, that's what was my question.
when I lived in LA and I had my Callaways. Yeah.
When you were all sponsored and raring to go.
Yeah. But you know what? Not by much.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we're good out there. And I love playing with my mom. She's still my favorite person to play with because I ask her anything. There's no judgment. I can have her repeat something she's told me 100 times, or I talk it out with her about, well, now why did you use your hybrid there? Here's where I would. And so,
Yeah.
and I still have little notes that I wrote years ago when I worked with the Callaway guys. They would always leave me some things to work on after we'd work with the simulator and I'd get the new set. The pro there would give me some pointers. And I would always take good notes. And I still have those notes.
Yeah.
I have pre-swing things that I think of, a little checklist, and then I throw it all away because it's ready. And then I think of my swing. I think of I tell myself crossover. It's my little inside thing. You wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but I have all my little notes, and some of them are from what my mom told me when I was playing in those early days of being out there, because it's tried and true. I mean,
Yeah,
she's good and she had some good advice.
I just remember, and I by any means not good at all.
No, he's not.
But
how
nope, nothing. I got nothing.
What's the opposite of scratch?
My point is trying to say is I just I obviously when bringing up my son, I could beat him, and it was a huge day the first time he could beat me.
Oh, that's really cool.
And it was, and I mean, it was a big day. I loved it because he was so excited to beat me legitimately and not cheating and all that. So I just didn't know if that was a big deal to you to finally, beat your mom
Right.
that one time. And if she was like me, I enjoyed it. I'm glad she surpassed me.
She enjoys it, but I remember playing one other time with her in San Diego. I had to go down and do this charity luncheon, and then they said, do you want to play golf after? And I said, yeah. Can I take my mom? And so we were playing, and I hadn't played with her in so long, and I was, it felt good because I could ask her all my questions. I was a little rusty because, during the years that I had my kids, I really put it on the shelf for a little bit, because everybody, when I moved out to Texas, I was playing a lot less golf, and all my friends played tennis. No one played golf. So I was playing tennis all the time. So I was back with my mom, and she was giving me pointers. And then one of the holes, I hit it right by the pin, and she goes, I'm not helping you anymore. And we laugh about it, but
I was gonna say the parent enjoys the first time the kid beats them. Every time after that, hey.
Right.
I gotta set my game up. That's really what it comes down to.
How old was Julian when this happened? 8, 9?
Do you drink when you're out there? Because I don't.
If I'm going with the boys, I do. When I'm with my son, I don't.
Yeah. Whenever the beer cart is rolling by and guys start drinking beer, that messes me up. If I have a margarita or a beer, I can't do it.
It depends how pretty the beer cart girl is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
That's a big, So
through all the years, how many times have you gone golf with some other people, and I'm gonna say it, some burly head guys are like, oh, this girl, whatever, I don't even have to try. And then you're like kicking their ass.
Oh, totally. I remember.
How great is that?
I was in Detroit, Michigan in a tournament, and I was paired up with these 3 executives, and the big round owner of whatever company, I don't know, he was pompous and arrogant and narcissistic. And, he kind of made a comment like, she's playing, and he's thinking I'm there to drive the cart or something. And I hit my first shot, and it was a scramble. So we used my first shot, and he shut up real quick. And I remember thinking, this jerk. And instead of saying anything,
right,
that happens. I mean, all of us playmates can attest to this. I mean, you get judged before you even are spoken to, or it's just, it's part of, it's.
I can't, yeah.
But how satisfying is
used to it.
to shut them up?
Yeah, it's much better when you don't say a word and you just, because that guy shut up real quick. And he was a cheater. He was horrible. He was moving his ball around and taking mulligans and
using the old foot wedge.
He was.
Yeah, I've always said, I think you're as, and I'm a father to a 6-year-old, and I think it's either golf or some form of martial arts for her, because I just think
so cool.
The discipline that you get from one or the other, or both.
Right.
Discipline, yeah.
Yeah.
Both of them. Both are really great.
Golf is one of them games where you have to do it right. You don't go out there and,
No.
So
and you can play, and at your mom and dad, you can play it for your rest of your life.
Yeah.
Your whole life. Yeah.
So I told my daughter, one daughter said yes, one said no. And my son said yes. Join the high school team. Let them teach you. Let you practice.
So true.
Just do it. If it's, don't learn from me.
Right. So I don't know where are you guys? I know you're in Central.
We're in Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. So I grew up in Southern Cal. And if you can imagine, at San Diego State, everybody was trying to get on the darn golf team.
Oh.
And I never could get on because they would take numbers, and we'd had a raffle because everybody wanted that course.
Oh, wow.
When you had some free electives to do what you want.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to win your way on it.
I never got on never got that one.
How disappointing, but
what's your favorite course? Do you have a favorite course?
Ooh, that's tough.
I mean, I'm sure and we'll get into the sportscast stuff that you've done. So I'm sure you've had the opportunity to play a lot of
some beauties,
the big name golf courses.
You know which one is one of the coolest experiences is Shadow Creek in Vegas.
Oh, really?
It's so exclusive and private and hard to get on. When you're in there, you don't feel like you're in Las Vegas. It's built up with all these, it's incredible. I love golf in Hawaii, the Big Island.
Yeah.
But when you go into the rough, it's hitting all the lava rock. It's just like bing, bing. They go everywhere. Mexico,
think of that.
Ooh, some great courses in Mexico. And honestly, Southern California, just so many great courses in California, or Santa Barbara, Rancho San Marcos. Ooh,
yeah.
Played there almost at least once a month. I was always at that course. And some of these golf magazines that I did photo shoots with, they said, "Where do you want to meet?" And I said, "Rancho San Marcos." So we'd meet there for the
not to jump, but I'm assuming not assuming, when you were filming your blockbuster, The Arena in Russia.
Yes.
Did you play golf over there?
Heck no.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Karen McDougal and we have to sit down with a bottle of wine and talk about that experience after all these years. That was crazy.
How long were you over there?
6.5 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we were, okay. So it was Karen and I, and the Playmate Promotions team that we're close with came out with us to get us there and settled and meet everybody to shoot the movie. And then they left. So Karen and I were by ourselves with all the Russians, and we had an interpreter the whole time. We loved her. And Pasha, our driver, took us everywhere. And the movie was an incredible experience, but it was also, we were in St. Petersburg for the beginning of shooting. And then after about the first 2 weeks, we were shooting out in the middle of, right near the Baltic Sea, an hour away from St. Petersburg, in the middle of nowhere. It looked like an old concentration camp that became where we stayed. I mean, it was an empty building. And Karen and I were like, I don't know how we survived. We weren't eating anymore because we were in the middle of nowhere, and the food and the restaurants were far and few between shooting. But they had built this arena in the middle of all these birch trees. They mowed down a whole bunch of birch trees and built an arena. to look like just like the movie The Gladiator. And we shot in that arena for 4 of the 6 weeks. And we were so far, I felt so far away from home. And not always did I feel safe. And that's a whole nother conversation. But
so you stayed
Karen,
out there. You didn't, you stayed out there those 4 weeks?
Yeah. Every day Pasha would drive us to the outdoor arena, and we shot all our fight scenes, and it was so remote. That took an hour to drive there. And every night we'd be in the dark driving back to the hotel.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I remember one time getting pulled over. Pasha got pulled over, and he's speaking Russian, and the Russian cops are shining light, and he kept saying, American actress, American actress. I don't know what accent I'm trying to do there.
we got it.
And the cop is shining lights at Karen and I, and I'm like, oh my God. I felt like sometimes when you're in Mexico and you get pulled over and you're you get lost and you can't read the little signs on the side of the building and you're going the wrong way. It kind of felt like that, but we weren't doing anything wrong, but we got pulled over for no reason. And I just, that was scary, but
I can only imagine. We got in the wrong Uber in Minneapolis with a guy who didn't speak English, and I was scared to death. Like, what's going to happen here? I can't imagine it happening in nowhere Russia.
But she's tougher than you are.
She is.
If you saw the arena, she's tougher than you.
Yeah. That was one of the scarier things that's ever happened to me.
Oh man, it was scary, but it was such an experience.
Yeah. So for that, and I apologize. I haven't I was trying to look for the movie to watch, but couldn't find it quite yet, but I will. I found the original, which I will watch,
with Pam
Grier.
Pam Grier, okay.
The legend.
I played her part. We did the remake of it, so I was Pam in the remake.
Nice.
Yeah,
she's a legend.
Yeah, she is. That was cool.
What kind of training did you go through? Sword training, physical training, or what to get ready for that?
The first week when we were there, they were working with us. They had a team of people working with us. And when we were shooting the movie, they were real swords. And we were told that they weren't going to be real. And then when Karen and I are by ourselves and shooting, we were like, well, I thought these were going to be fake. And they weren't. And there was one part in the movie where I really did get hit with the sword and my finger got cut, and it was a really bad hit. Karen hit a good one. And it's so funny because in the movie, they used the footage of it, but I know exactly when it happened. And they had a guy with a hospital bag on the set that was an extra. So he was dirty and in the stands as one of the guys screaming for the fight to happen. And Karen and I you got to see the movie, but we're in the arena having our fight, and they're waiting to see who gets killed. And so the guy, when I was bleeding and I'm underneath the arena, underneath the seats, and I feel
bleeding
like my
for real,
broke. It was crooked. And the guy shows up, and he's filthy, and this medicine bag opens up, and he uses this glue to stick my finger back together. Yep. And he's all dirty, and I'm watching that happen. It was scary. So needless to say, we had to drive me to the city and get a tetanus shot in the middle of shooting the movie.
And you're like,
a Russian
I'll take it just to get to see some other life in the stadium once.
Right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was just so funny. And
that is the glue is standard. That's like Army standard. That was invented a quick fix on wounds.
That was so weird. And he was so dirty, and he was
that would have worried me
together. It was so weird. And this movie, I just towards the end, I wasn't feeling safe. Karen wasn't feeling safe. Not from the people on the set, but we just there was shenanigans going on, and there were I don't know. So the whole second half of shooting the movie, I had my passport inside. And if you look really close, you could see the shape of my booty with the gladiator like rope around
Okay.
the knee down. It had fur with a leather strap. My passport was in there because they wanted to hold our passports. And I'm like, you're not taking my passport.
Oh yeah, that seems shady. I mean,
yeah.
So nobody came and visited during that time? Like nobody from Playboy or from the movie studio from the United States?
They were there with us to get us there.
Yeah.
And then they left.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, if you guys interview Karen, you got to ask her about it. There's so much funny stories about that trip.
So that was that your evenings? You do just the two of you hanging out? Because what did you hang out with anybody else from the movie set or crew or actors?
You get so close to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did they speak English? Were you able to, or did you need an interpreter the whole time?
The interpreter was our bestie the whole time, and no, hardly anybody spoke English. So Karen and I were pretty much, we were together 24/7. The only time we were apart is we had our own rooms.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like I said, I was the last couple of weeks, I've been looking for it to watch it, and I will hunt it down and I will find it.
Well, you'll find it because somebody in my son's class asked my son, hey, you want to watch The Arena? I got it. And I'm like, oh my God. This is crazy.
Well, you know what? It's there. And Roger Corman, the producer, were you able to meet him?
I think for the original for the audition.
Okay.
And he's still alive and kicking.
He is.
And he's up there. He's incredible.
Yeah. Well, he knew what he wanted. He just wanted to get these movies out, and he just pumped them out and said, and I think that's the other thing. He's like, well, I made these. I'm running out of ideas. It's been a couple of years. I'll just remake it.
Yeah. And let's get a couple of Playmates.
Let's just do that. So how smart is that?
I wasn't going down the acting route. In the very beginning, I thought I would want to try that, but I found my niche, so I wasn't going that route. So when they wanted me to audition for it, I remember thinking, all right, I'll go. And I was for Playboy we had a boat, the cigarette boats for Playboy. We had our own cigarette boat that would tour all over the world. And I was working for them, and I'm in Saint-Tropez at a lunch with the group of Playboy for the cigarette boat. And I got that message, you're going to Russia. And I'm like, you guys, I'm going to Russia. It's just so weird because, and that was such an experience.
It is, but the acting bug is just gone. You just I
never even had it when I got that.
All right.
But it was cool. It was cool. It was something, you take it. If you get it, you take it. And
not everybody can say you're the star of a movie, regardless.
I know it.
I mean, you are the star of The Arena.
Yeah.
And then you went
forever.
Went from The Arena to interviewing Tiger Woods.
I know. Isn't that cool? Is that a dichotomy?
So is that more your passion? Is the sports, obviously, and
hosting and sports broadcasting? That was my niche. It fit so well. It was, you're in LA and you're around so many girls that want to be an actress, and they don't go to college. They go to LA and they want to do that. Well, I went to LA after college, and I didn't have the passion they did about acting, nor was I good at it. I didn't like being told what lines to say.
Yeah.
And you have to say what they write. You can't change it. And you can modify it if you're a bigger actor, but I would constantly, derail on auditions and say something a little different. And I just it wasn't my comfort zone. But give me a microphone and put me on the sideline and I can interview anybody. I can go up to anybody and banter. I don't know why that's easier for me. I don't know.
It's funny you say that, because I was going to mention that and when you said that acting wasn't your thing or your bug, but I can tell from watching you, you're very natural in front of a camera. You're very natural in not just your photos, but some of the videos that you did for Playboy, just how natural you are. And then just talking on the hosting and the sports, as opposed to the acting, it comes down to, you just would rather be you in front of the camera than be told who to be. And you could tell
that's such a compliment. Thank you.
Oh, well, it's true.
I have fun, and I always, if you listen to what somebody is saying, the questions can be thrown out and the conversation can go somewhere totally different. And that's a really good interview when you're not so rigid. And then I always seem to make things fun and silly. And I did this thing with, when I was the show at Fox that ran for a long time that we did, called Best Damn Sports Show, period.
Yeah.
They honored one of my ideas, and I used to have this thing called Dergy's Dozen. And because I was around all the celebrities and actors and athletes, and so I would always shoot 12 questions at a rapid pace, and it would go ding, 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 and it'd be a little segment that they would have me on the set, and I'd introduce the piece. And boy, you can stunt people with some silly questions like, what's in your fridge that nobody would even expect, and or silly stuff, like not heavy questions here, but instead of X's and O's, it's kind of fun to ask the questions that make people get out of their X's and O's, and then they start telling you about what, at the time when the show was on, I was asking everybody, what CDs are in your car? Well, you can't say that now, but what do you listen to? What do you like? And it just makes people start talking about things that you didn't know about them. And I find that interesting.
That's so much fun, because I used to watch the show and I loved it. And I do remember that segment. That's so cool.
Oh, yeah, it was so fun.
Did you but you pre-thought of the dozen questions?
Yeah.
And how often did you change them between who you interviewed?
Most of the stuff was off the cuff. So, if I'm with Tommy Lasorda or Tony La Russa, I'm going to ask, hey, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, and you're up to bat, or who do you want to put up to bat? Tom Arnold, John Sally, these kind of questions. So I just think about, stuff like that, or they're all up there. It's just whatever I feel. And,
Do you have a favorite sport that you covered? Well, I mean, obviously golf, but was there anything else that,
Football.
Football?
It's golf, then football. And I started with football before golf because Jim Hill with KCBS in Los Angeles gave me my first opportunity to do sports broadcasting. And that was because I was playing in golf tournaments all the time. And if the tournament was in LA, Jim Hill would always cover the tournament, when it was live for the 5:00 evening news, and they would shoot to Jim. He would be with the mic interviewing all of us coming off the green. And he handed me the mic one day and he said, why don't you do this? They don't want to see me in a tie interviewing everybody. They want, everybody. And so I did that, and he remembered me for fan cam. He always hired a girl every year to do fan cam. And that's during the football season. And I got that. And I remember I was still really green and nervous. I was really nervous. And the pay was nothing. You didn't do it for the money. You did it for the exposure. And Los Angeles, if you're going to be in television, you really are damn lucky to start in New York or LA. And here I am in LA doing sports right out of the gate. And I was so lucky, but I was also, the opportunity was there and I took it, but it's not all luck. You know how it is. If you're prepared, and I'm out there playing golf all the time. So that's kind of how I got that camaraderie with Jim Hill, and that led to Jim handing me the mic. And so all of these layers really help. But
to your point, if you're not good, they're taking it away just as quickly as they give it to you.
Oh yeah. And especially if you're pretty or you're a girl in the sports world, you can be tanked in a day and be out of there. If your voice is too high, it turns people off. He would always say, just keep doing what you're doing, because I'd ask him, should I change anything? And he's like, just keep doing what you're doing. And I said, well, that doesn't help me. I want to hear something. And he said, no, I don't want you to change anything, because the way you are when you're out there playing golf is what people want. And when I'm on camera and I'm like the way I'm talking right now, my voice isn't high. And when you're nervous and you're a girl and you're doing his fan cam, a lot of those girls would vamp it up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he didn't like it, and it turns people off. And not only did I not want to do that, because I was so damn scared that I didn't worry about how I looked. I was like, oh my God, what teams, who got traded? And like, I was studying what teams were for that Sunday. And I was studying who was the new defensive coordinator. And I just was so worried about doing a good job. I wasn't worried about how I looked.
Sure.
And if anything, it's a distraction. So I kind of always toned it down with the ponytail or the hair up. And I never played off my looks, because it's already there, and you're in sports, and it's too much.
Yeah.
If you overdo it. And then
Good
the guy
point.
sitting there is going to feel weird when his wife walks in and he's watching the news, and I'm saying it would look weird.
Yeah.
That's a good
if
point.
I'm too glam, or if I'm like, I wouldn't be like, I'm not even glam right now, but I'm not sporty right now. I mean, you
blend
tone
in.
it down.
You're blending in, because you wouldn't be glammed up to be on the sidelines of stuff, right?
Right.
When
You just acquiesce to the environment.
Yeah.
And I was very sensitive to it. Just like as a kid, I was very sensitive to the golf game. And,
Yeah.
And that's why it's a turnoff when I have girlfriends that I play golf with, and I'm at their country club, and one of my girlfriends had on the tennis skirt and her cheeks are poking out when she's putting. And I'm like, you can't do that. I mean, and she says, well, I live here. They're not going to tell me no. And I'm thinking, if you were on any course, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's so disrespectful. And I don't know. It just,
I'm with you.
You're obviously very good at the sports thing, because when I saw you first on Instagram, we were talking, I remember you first from sports, and then I was like, oh, she was in Playboy as well. Like, I remember you from.
That's cool that
Yeah.
you didn't think of Playboy first. You thought of sports.
No,
first.
I remember you from sidelines and from, So, and
that's great.
I know you got one of my favorite athletes is Charles Barkley, and I know you got to be with him the day you fixed his golf swinger.
I just found all that footage because I got everything digitalized. And I'm
funny.
still halfway through that process, because it took 2 different visits because there was so much footage.
And
But
his swing was so bad.
And he went back to it.
Oh my gosh. So, and I'll post it, because now this footage, I posted some of the pictures of it, but that wicked golf swing. So we're live on Bestam, and it was a good 20-25 minutes where we're live, and Charles and I are mic'd up, and we keep going to commercial, and then they come back. And at the end of it, I was fixing his golf swing. And I remember the footage is so funny. You'll see it. I'll post it, but he's lining up, and I was trying to get his pre-swing and change his grip a little bit. And I'm telling him the percent on where to put the weight. And I remember he goes, honey, when you weigh this much, it goes wherever it wants to.
Oh, Chuck.
Oh, I love Chuck.
He does this thing where he still does it, where his backswing, he pauses and then goes. You know what his swing looks like.
Oh,
Yes. Horrible.
But he loves the game, and he's always out there. He's really sweet.
Didn't he get it right for a while? Didn't they?
Yeah.
And that now
After he got it right for a while, I
Yeah.
thought.
Maybe it was me. I don't know.
I could have swore it was after that, and I remember that segment.
take credit for it. It was
Yes.
you.
Oh my God.
And then I remember there's a segment or something where they're like, you're back. What, you were doing good. What are you doing? So
2 years in a row, I did that tournament with Elway, and it was Elway's tournament where Charles, we were we were sitting with Charles on the show. So 2 years in a row, that swing didn't look much different, but he's cleaned it up over the years, and he looks great. I've seen so many commercials recently where he still looks just, I mean, even trimmer.
Yeah. He doesn't
good.
age, that's for sure. He looks
No,
like
he
Yeah.
hasn't.
it's crazy.
So back to your sideline antics. Was there ever anybody you interviewed where you were like, after you're done, you watch and you said, "Oh, I guess my voice did go up there. I was a little giddy with that one," or just you didn't make a norm of it, but you just couldn't help but.
No,
No?
you know what I noticed, and Fox, the great thing about Fox and my boss at Fox, right away, everybody that works at Fox works with a voice coach.
Oh, really?
Whether it was so right away when we started with this show called the NFL Show, and it was Chris Myers as the host, and we had Michael Irvin. Michael Irving had just been hired the same time I got hired, so he and I got sent to the voice coach, and we were working with this voice coach for a few weeks. So it doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man, they make everybody that starts with Fox go to the voice coach just to keep you.
Sure.
So to answer your question, I never heard something where I went, oh, but I noticed in the very beginning, and my boss mentioned it, because I had a habit of, when you're doing a one-on-one interview and you've asked the question, shut up, let the guy speak. And when you're saying, it's noisy when you're really trying to get that good soundbite. And I noticed in the beginning stages, I was still learning that. So that interview with Tiger, you can hear it. You can hear me. And Tiger and I were already friends, so it was hard not to banter when he was talking to me about our game with the Gretzkys. But you can hear me say, yeah, and I would never do that. 3, 4, 6 months later, I learned that pretty quick, how to clean that up, because when I see girls that do it now, it drives me nuts because I know not to do that. But in the beginning, I didn't know.
I wish we had known that 30 episodes ago, because if you go back and watch some of our early episodes, we interrupt and way too much.
Yeah, but it's
so fun. That's why
you guys also. Oh,
see?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
See?
No, I'm doing it now.
That's why sometimes we feel in my head, we let, we're back to letting the guest talk, because I want to say you've always been learned through, through the years, you acknowledge that you're talking, but when the Zoom, when I say, or yes, it cuts to me, and we don't want this mug. We want yours. So we got to be quiet and shake her head. So yes, like to his point, we're learning and we're trying to get better.
Do you guys find that once you've interviewed somebody that you've always known of or seen pictures of, do you notice sometimes that they're so different than the way you thought they would be?
Yes,
absolutely.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, I don't mean to sound disparaging to Playmate, but like you said, Playmates get judged unfairly. And when we first got into this, for sure, we didn't know what we were going to get. And every interview we've done, I don't like to call them interview, every conversation we've had with a Playmate has been nothing short of amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Because there's so many of us that are so close, and we all just really like each other too. And I hate to, this sounds weird, but we really are some great group of girls that we like, when we're all together for these meetings where we're all with our earbuds and we're cooking dinner for our kids, we're all doing so much at the same time, but we all have such a unique quality about each one of us that's so different, and we all appreciate it. And that's one of the things that Victoria is really, going back to the NFT thing for a second. They're really taking each girl's quality and they're making something really cool out of it with a comic book. I don't know if she's told you about that.
No, this is exclusive.
Yeah. So there's going to be a comic book for like a comic book series where they're going to highlight certain girls and what their quality is. So guess what my quality is?
Golf.
So I nail people with the golf ball, that like it's a
Like your
superhero type
superpower?
of comic book. And mine is these errant shots that are going to kick someone's butt,
I love
So
it.
isn't that cool? And
It is cool.
Victoria's the painter. I mean, every girl has such a different quality. We all have our own niche.
You do, and that's been what, back to his point, every time we talk to someone, they've all got something different to talk about. Common theme is you all get along. There is not any cat fighting and any
Aren't
of
you
you.
surprised?
Yes.
1,000% yes.
We are not lying.
Because anytime you hear like in the regular old business world, anytime you hear like women that have to work together, you hear how horrible it is, you know, but you guys, for some reason, root for each other.
I saw Carrie Stevens say this on Instagram a few months ago, because everybody was asking our opinion about Hef when that documentary came out. And Carrie said, I'm just going to go ahead and say, and I remember liking it because she said what we all think. We all as Playmates had such a common ground that was so unique and hard to get to. There's only 12 women in the whole world a year. Yeah. We had girls, not just from the United States, that were Playmates. They were picked worldwide. Yep. And there's only 12 a year, which is pretty damn cool. Exclusive. So when we get that honor, you already feel like you're like everybody is like, and Carrie said it perfectly, and I'm not giving it justice, but she basically said there was never any jealousy or whatever. We all respected each other because it was so hard to get there. And we just all had that common respect for each other about getting to that platform that was so important and unique, and don't mess it up. Yeah. And some of the girls, would fade away and just be there at the parties, but I can't think of too many. I mean, it was a great opportunity. And there's so many of us girls that I don't have any enemies in Playboy.
As long as you brought up Carrie Stevens, let's just give her a shout out because her Instagram is so fun to follow.
Isn't it?
She is a riot.
The one where she fell off the counter in the kitchen.
I did. Yeah, she is a riot. I love her Instagram account.
She's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. But at the same time, showing that, I don't know if I could show that, but she showed it, and I'm like, go for it. That's awesome.
She doesn't care. That's awesome. It's so good.
Well, and I really think that we have yet to find anybody that's been phony. I mean, when we talk to any of the Playmates so far, different from their Instagram, nobody's been phony. Nobody's been.
Oh, I hope not.
No, there has not been. And it seems like the ones that I did my Playboy thing and I'm not into it, and then they do just kind of go away and they just do their homebody thing or whatever the case may be. Yeah. Which is great. But it's been such a great world to be into. It's been fun. Yeah. Such a blast.
It has. I pinch myself. I don't know how we managed to finagle this, but
well, you know what it is, guys. I'll just give you the 2 cents. We all are friends. So you have a great reputation because we all love you. So
that's so nice to hear.
Yeah.
I gotta ask.
Now we're blushing, but
I gotta ask the hat question. What's your dream foursome?
Ooh, okay.
Alive or dead? Let's just go alive or dead. If you can golf with 3 other people, who are they?
Well, I've already played with Tiger, but it would still be Tiger.
Yeah.
My mom. I know this is so crazy. My mom, Tiger. Oh gosh, this is a great question.
Wow. And I called it a hat question.
I'm stumped.
I mean, one of us is available if you want to.
Oh my gosh.
So think about, as you're thinking of that, do you give lessons?
No, but it's funny. I'm looking to start working with Scheffler here he almost won the Colonial the other day do you know Scotty Scheffler? Okay, so the guy he worked with, I just got the guy's number. I'm gonna call him up and start working with. I go straight to the best. I don't want to waste my time. And I remember asking Playboy when I wanted to work with Tiger's instructor out in Vegas, and it cost 10 grand for a couple of days. And I said, hey, Playboy, hey, Hef, will you guys help me pay for that? Because I'm out here every week and all they talk about is Playboy. And that was before I was really doing too much. I wasn't into sports completely yet. So Playboy was my title. Everybody talked about that. And have said, no, I'm not going to have you go out there and just have 1 week. I want you to have somebody local. So I went in and Riviera and got the top coach there. And that was years where I was seeing him twice a week, 8 a.m. And it was so cool because I'd show up and I remember seeing on the, in the driving range, Stallone and Kevin Costner. And there I am with my instructor out there and bing, bing. It was so fun.
That Hef.
So can we give a shout out to Hef, because that's the other common thing with all the Playmates is the love for Hef and what when you would ask for something and you didn't.
That was the only thing I asked for. So by the way, I didn't ask.
Yeah, I said that wrong. I apologize.
You could talk to him about he was so approachable.
Yeah.
And likable and humble. And I could still hear my pleasure. Every time I would hug him and I loved him so much. And oh God, he was at every birthday party, and I'm getting goosebumps because I miss him. Mm-hmm. But
the world does.
He was so genuine and real, and not a lot of people know this story, and I'm going to put it out there because it's just something that proves what an incredible guy he was. But I was dating at the time a big director, and we were together for 4 years, and we broke up, and they knew I broke up with him. And I was at Fox, and there was a big party coming up. It might've been Midsummer Night. It was one of the big parties coming up after the breakup. And I remember being at Fox, and I get a call from Mary O'Connor, Hef's secretary, and I was around, my cubicle was like right near everybody, and I'm about to go on set, but I said, hang on, Mary, let me go in the conference room. And I took the call in the conference room, and she said, Hef would like to know if you want us to ban your ex-boyfriend from coming up to the mansion, at least for the time being, however you want. Hef wants you happy and comfortable. How cool is that?
That is cool, because I'm not going to say his name, but he is a big time director.
Big time. And even though
it's a big deal.
I mean, and we were so in love, but I broke up. And out of respect, Hef wanted to know what I would like to do about the parties. And he loves Hollywood and movies and directors. And I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
That proves. And my answer to that, I said, Mary, no, I'm not going to. First of all, that would cause a big stir and everybody would gossip about that. And it's not my style. And it wasn't an ugly breakup. I walked away, and I still loved him, but I walked away. And I was so I was just so, I don't even know what the words are, but that shows Hef's loyalty, that he would stop a director from coming up to his parties that he loves because he wanted to know if I was going to be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's nice.
Says it all. And I said, no, don't do that. Don't worry about it. But how sweet that Hef Mary, can you tell Hef, I really appreciate being asked.
Yeah.
And nobody knows that story, but that sums it up right there.
Yeah.
Cheers to Hef.
All of it. Yeah.
We
cheers to Hef.
I can't tell you how many awesome stories we've heard about Hef, and yeah. It's always great.
And it's too bad the documentary that came out, but
You
people are
know,
going to do it. So you want to touch on that and bash on that? Because
sure,
we have.
I'm sure you guys have heard an earful
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to have an opinion about it. And it's funny, there's a lot of people that have opinions about it that weren't even there. It's so disheartening to have, and I watched every episode, even though some of my girlfriends, some of the Playmates said I couldn't even watch it. I wanted to watch it because it was so disturbing that they took it that far. And I couldn't believe it. So I kept watching the next episode thinking, and it was unfortunate that so many people that support Hef and were interviewed saying great things about him, it chiseled down, and they're on this documentary, and the documentary ended up being so negative. And a great example, Allison Reynolds and Joel, they're Hef's best friends, and I adore them. And they were mortified that this documentary was so negative, and they're on there. And if you notice, everything they say is positive, but everything that they say is just tiny compared to all this negative. And some of the things, and this is, it's dicey because talking about it, there's people on there that are going to watch your podcast, and I don't want to say names, but
they know who they are.
They know who they are. And there is one of the girls that is all over that. She's in I have so much stuff here at my house of Playboy issues that every time I come across, whenever there's a picture that's needed for some of the press stuff that Vic is doing, or I have it all organized. So I have a Playboy section of stuff to pull from. And every time I pull those party pictures, and I'm in just about every damn month of those party pictures because I was always up there, there's the girl right there standing in every picture with Hef, just gloating and so proud to be in that position that she clawed her way into to get there, and to turn around and say what she said. And I don't want to take away what everybody's private, I don't want to speak. See, this is where it gets dicey because I'm trying to be very generic about my
respectful
answer,
yep.
But it's very disgusting for someone who appreciated everything and then turned around and bashed him.
Yeah.
And the financial things that came through that she took. And, a lot of us girls, every single one of us girls like me, you could have dated. I mean, Hef loved all of us. I mean, you could have taken things to that direction if you wanted to go there. I never went there. And I chose to always I was so by the book about parties and how, I went to all the parties, but also I was a full-time sportscaster. So I was up there with my boyfriend all the time, and it was my other house besides where I lived. I just felt so welcome. But there was such a respect for me as a Playmate that Hef would have never made me feel uncomfortable ever and hit on me. I mean, when you're hugging Hef, once in a while he would pat you on the butt or whatever, it's just Hef. That's Hef. And it was never insulting. It was never, and some of these girls on that documentary chose to go down a different path and to date and to have, now you're living in the house, and what comes with that is a whole bunch of stuff that you took that on. Yeah. And it's none of our business what some of these stories are. I don't want to know what happened in someone's bedroom. That's none of my business.
Yeah.
And that's someone talking about their side, and the other person's not here to defend himself.
That's the
he would
worst
have
part.
been mortified that some of these people that took from him for so, I mean, he was so generous and loving. It just makes my skin crawl, and I'm one of so many.
So far, anybody on our podcast it's said the same thing.
Oh, I hope so.
Absolutely,
I mean,
everyone, 100%.
We were all asked right away to back him, and right away I wrote, I think it was in the New York Post, or I don't know. We all gave our 2 cents, and I was quick to write mine because it just, I mean, I can't say enough about him. And
go ahead.
Just every little. That's why I wanted to tell you about when I broke up with the director. Those moments. People don't know about that. People don't know that he really was so proud of me and my golf, that he paid for all. I mean, that was a big thing to take on, and he had no problem doing it because he believed in us.
Yeah. So the other thing, everybody we've interviewed has said the same thing, is they've had a story like you about he did something behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Had it be at the golf lessons, had it be anything.
Yeah.
Not that not any of you asked for it or begged. He just wanted to do something for everybody.
Right.
It's been the story. Every one of you have told us the same thing.
Yeah. And even all those years that I did have the boyfriend that would be like, I always went down to San Diego for holidays, but he always wanted to make sure that I was invited for Christmas or New Year or Christmas dinner at the mansion. And it was such an intimate group of a small, group of 10 or 12. And he always invited me, knowing that I'm already busy and I'm going to be with my family, or I'm going to be with my boyfriend or whatever. There wasn't a holiday like Thanksgiving or Christmas where I wasn't personally invited to be there. And like I said, every birthday I had, he was there with his group of girls and the photographer. And he always had those little cameras that were like throwaway cameras.
Yes.
And he would be like giggling and taking pictures all night. And then boom, I would have a whole envelope that next week of all of his pictures that he would make copies for me. And then I'd get that stationery that at the end, it would just say Hef. And it was like, here's some great pictures from your birthday, Lisa, and a few others that you and Michael went to. And it was just so generous. He took the time to do that.
It is.
And they're framed all over my house. These pictures are just such a little slice of
that is so
life
cool.
that.
Yeah, we're both of the age. We grew up where Hef was like one of the coolest guys on earth. I mean,
not gonna lie.
So
not gonna lie.
I mean,
yeah, I wanted to be Hef.
And it's so good growing up that way, and then to talk to the people that were close to him and find out that it's true that he was one of the coolest guys on earth.
Yeah.
So.
Do you guys remember the first time you snuck a magazine and found it and looked at it?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. My dad was a truck driver and he used to have them in his briefcase. So yeah,
I remember the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time.
I get stories. I get kids telling me oh, you were in my college dorm, or.
Yep.
Oh,
I also had an uncle who had the stack next to the toilet that was like 2 feet high.
Funny.
Yeah.
So I had a subscription, and I was a bachelor at the time, living with a bachelor at the time. We both had a subscription, and then I got married, but it was like a year-long subscription. So I got married, and of course it continued on, right?
Sure.
So she's like, "Well, you're gonna
stop that."
Well, you're gonna stop. I'm like, "Well, I'll just let it run out." But it was like you'd sign up for like 2 years, and then I get a card in the mail, and it would be like, whatever, a third of the price, and I'd check, send it back in, and she'd be like, "I thought this was running out." I'm like, "I don't know. I guess I signed up longer than I thought."
So clearly she wasn't aware and never really looked at it past the fact that there were photos, but there were so many great articles.
I won't, and nobody's going to believe this that ever knows me, watches the podcast, but I love the interviews because they had, I mean, not every interview, but there were some that were whatever, but they were great interviews, and I
really great.
Literally love to read. I think I read during my subscription every one of them, even if I didn't know who they were. I would read it because I would find out who they were.
Yeah, I mean, and think about how many of the guests Playboy got. I mean, every president and I mean, do you remember some of them? They're incredible. Just
I do.
the span of who we asked, and they all did.
They asked. I mean, there were directors. To your point, I mean, up and coming directors, actors, and they would talk intimate about stuff. There's sports people. It was every genre, politicians, to your point, presidents, but they were just.
I remember they always talked about how Jimmy Carter, there was a interview with Jimmy Carter, and he was talking about and they throw some sex questions in there, of course, because it's Playboy. And that always gets brought up with certain people that are just, you wouldn't think they would go there, but they were interviewed by the magazine. So some of these interviews were crazy good.
Yeah. A lot
of
them.
The covers were amazing. I mean, the covers were so clever, and I would look for the bunny. Every month I would look for the bunny.
Okay. Do you know some people don't know about that?
Really?
So here's the story that I have to. Okay, so my kids are 13 and 12.
Okay.
And they already know that mom it's so funny because all my daughter's friends or even my son, they all think it's so cool that your mom was a model, your mom's a model. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was a sports, I'm so proud of how far I took, past the modeling.
True.
They don't care. They just think it's so cool that I was a model. And I didn't walk around and say anything. I've been a mom, they're all knowing that because somebody said it. And so there's a part of me years ago where I'm thinking, okay, so I don't sit down with my kids when they're 5 and say, well, I was naked in a magazine. I mean, I knew that was going to come up. Right. So it has been there's things in the house where I even think I have a vintage cover of Playboy on my mantle up there.
Nice.
From 1960 that Leroy Neiman painted. That it's such a cool. So they've always seen that magazine, and I never knew if they knew there's naked people inside, but they know the story about when Hef died, and I was really sad about that, and so they saw that I was talking about that in interviews or writing stuff down. So they always knew mommy was in a magazine where it was that was a really big deal. And it doesn't hurt that my best friends are Alicia Richter. Well, now she's Alicia Piazza, but my kids know Alicia was a Playmate, Brandy Roderick, and my kids are around them with their kids. So it makes it really easy for my kids knowing that mom and all her friends, they're all Playmates too. But until I got out one of these coffee table books that they have one of just every cover or every Playmate, every centerfold. And it's so thick. And I bought it, and I bought Alicia one too when we were in Miami. And the other, like a month or two ago, I said to my daughter, now, that Playboy magazine, we were all naked, it's nudity, but beautiful. And she's like, yeah, mom, but just and I go, now I'm sure you've already, I wanted to be the one to show my kids. I didn't want them to be at a friend's house and somebody's dad had a collection and they got it out. And then my daughter's learning about it that way. And she acted like she already knew, but I said, okay, I'm going to show you my centerfold. Let's just get it out of the way. And she's like, okay. And so I right away, I go, okay, here it is. And I shut it. And she's like, oh my God. And then I'm like, and all of the moms that I'm friends with are in here too. So, and then right away, I switched the whole story. And I said, every cover has a bunny on it. Oh, that became an hour conversation with my kids.
Fun.
They think it's so cool.
And some of them are hard to find.
They are. But that became the coolest thing to them. So I kind of just said it just to get it out of the way. Yeah. And they were like, yeah, we already kind of knew.
Kids are on top of everything.
Damn internet. But that, yeah. So that was a draw to me, that bunny on each cover. That's to me, it was neat.
It was, yeah. I mean, you always spent time trying to find it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course.
And there's so, it's funny. As a little girl, I remember always watching MTV when MTV started, and that had so many Playmates and all these rock videos. But that look of the girl that turned out, I found out later, they were all Playmates. But that look, it's so funny. I became a Playmate because as a little girl, I would watch all the videos and think they looked so cool.
They were.
And that was all. Okay, so I'm a 90s Playmate, but that was, the late 80s, and these covers that I love and that look of the Playmate, the vintage magazines, it was all the late 80s. There's so many Playmates that are still, to me, they're stunning, but I love that. I don't know, whenever I come across a vintage, one of the 80s or the early 90s or, before me, I just think there's so many beautiful covers.
Vintage 80s. That was my time of
one of my favorites,
slamming because of the 80s.
One of my favorites, Brandy Brandt, was in a ton of videos, and I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm gonna edit this part out, but I have to ask, I love Mike Piazza, and I've reached out to Alicia. Alicia. I've reached out to her, and I so badly, because I love her husband so much. I love
her.
I do too.
Heck with you.
Yeah. But I was such a Mike Piazza fan. I'm like, oh.
Oh my gosh. He's doing a reality show this week. So it'll be interesting to see when it comes out.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, I don't ask for many favors, but if you put in a good word for us, I wouldn't be.
Oh, of course. I'll put in a good word. It's just hard to lock him down. He's still,
not for him. Not for him.
For her.
I love
for
him.
her. She would do it in a heartbeat.
I don't want to talk to him. No, we want to talk to her.
We're after her. Maybe if he pops in, but we're after her.
Yeah.
She and I are so close. They're in Italy right now, and I talk to her pretty much every day. Like whenever I'm on the phone, when the kids get in the car, they're like, "Is it Alicia?" Because we are like glued at the hip, and it's
nice.
We laugh all the time. I'm like the golden retriever, and she's the chocolate lab because she's so brunette, and we're so different.
Yeah.
Nice. But gosh, I knew her before I was a Playmate. And I remember when I told her I was going to shoot, she said, "Oh, I'll make sure you do it right, because there's so many things that I wish I knew." So she was giving me pointers.
Well, good for her. Good pointers.
That's awesome.
Well, we can cut in. You can edit your groveling.
Yeah.
We're back in. But I do want to talk. And you know what? We appreciate your time, because we're going way long.
Yeah, we're long.
But we not for us.
Oh, you have a limit.
No, don't.
No, for you. We don't want to take you too much of your time.
Yeah.
You guys are so sweet.
But how did you get into the project of this James Bond? I read, the only statue of a Bond girl in a short story. What is the story with getting involved with James Bond? And if there's going to be a Bond girl, why wouldn't it be you? But how did you get involved with that?
Raymond Benson was the writer of the article that came out, and it was Jamie Bergman's issue. It was the 50th anniversary Playmate issue, I believe. It's the one where all the covers.
Oh yeah.
And it was shaped of the Maryland silhouette. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yep, absolutely.
It was that article of me being with Bond. That was that issue. And
was the short story written for Playboy?
Yeah. It was in the magazine, and Hef always had Bond stories, and
they mesh really well. I mean, Bond belonged to Play. He would be Bond would have dated half the Playmates.
Right. I know. But if you read the article, it's really cool because he's at the mansion. The story was that he was at the mansion and he meets a couple of Playmates, and I'm one of them. And he took a liking to me. And so they had me. I'm the one that is with Bond in the end. So it was really cool. And, I don't know why I got picked. Raymond Benson is the writer, and maybe he had some say in it. I do know that when my issue came out, I wrote that I want to be the next James Bond girl.
Oh,
And this is, in the beginning stages of Playboy when I was still thinking, well, here's the platform, I'm going to say it. And I knew I probably want to do hosting or whatever, but you had that chance to say whatever you want to say. And so in the centerfold where it says what I like, what I don't like, I said, I want to be the next James Bond girl. So maybe that gave them the idea to pick me.
okay.
There you go.
Okay, that makes
I
sense.
don't know. It's not it's a nice thing. It's not a bad thing. You never see a bad looking Bond girl. So I guess it's a compliment.
Very compliment. But did you got a statue?
No.
I thought I read that you're the only a Bond girl that got a statue.
I'm the only Playmate that is
Was called out.
Story where I'm with Bond in the story.
Maybe they said status.
It was the only real life character put with Bond. Like all the Bond girls were characters except for you. You're Lisa.
I was a Playmate, and he was at the mansion, and he met me at the mansion.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's on my radar to look up and read that story. So
well, you know what issue it's in, so you can find it real quick.
And
yes.
We just had Colleen Shannon on, who was the 50th anniversary.
Oh, I love Colleen. She's so talented.
Yeah.
So is it that we, as chili fans, restaurant, have you to thank for the interior decorating? Did I read that
crazy?
Right? Okay, you found something I didn't find. Wow.
That we need. So when I go into a Chili's today and I enjoy the decoration, I have you to thank.
This is what's crazy. So I'm in college. I'm an interior design major. I'm in my freshman or sophomore year. I'm a waitress at Chili's right near the campus at San Diego State University. And in the back part of the office where you turn in all your money at the end of the night and you log how much tips you have, and up on the bulletin board, it says, anybody, we're looking for the Western region. They call it the decorator for the Chili's in the Western region, but it was the person who would, if it was a new Chili's, they would go in for 5 days and put they called it the funk on all the shelves, and all the pictures on the walls had to be arranged and all that. And I thought, well, I didn't like the look, believe me, hello, but I was this freshman or sophomore, and I'm like, why don't they give me a shot at it? And they said, well, no, it's with the degree, we need somebody that has experience. And I said, just try me out, please, just try me. And so they flew me to Dallas to do the first restaurant, and I was trained with the girl that already had the gig for the whole US, but they needed another person because she couldn't do them all. And I got it. And they paid really good. And I was a college kid making tips at Chili's. So getting this job was so cool. And I would go in, and a lot of restaurants just needed a zhuzh and update. And so those days took 3 nights. And when the restaurant closed and the manager was leaving, I was arriving. It sounds creepy now. I think about it now, and it's so scary when you're in a restaurant, the lights are on, and I'm by myself, but I was having to do all the shelves, everything. And of course I dealt with California, so I had to make sure everything was nailed down. And it was a difficult job. It was not glamorous at all, but I loved the money. And I did 22 restaurants before I'd had enough. And I thought, okay, I have enough to talk about it on a resume. But it gave me like independence to move out and move up by campus. And because my parents were going to pay for an apartment. I lived in San Diego, and I went to San Diego State, and they're like, you can stay at home. And I said, I don't want to stay at home. I'm
Right.
Typical college kid.
Yeah. So I got that job, and then I had all this money, so I could afford my, apartment. So yeah, I mean, it's not the look, but it was great for a freshman. And I felt like a big shot. I was flying around getting paid, and all
So how many states did you go to? Were they all in California?
Most of them were in California.
Okay.
But I did a few in Texas, probably Oregon. mostly all of California, Northern California, a lot in San Francisco. It was cool.
So she didn't
It
do
was
Appleton.
fun to get paid to fly somewhere.
You didn't do Appleton, Wisconsin.
So our Appleton Applebee's does not look the same as your Chili's.
They're different.
So our Appleton Chili's doesn't look the same as your California Chili's.
Oh my God. I can't believe we're even talking about this.
I'm digging. I'm just trying to.
I can't either. And this is just proof that we both do research, because I had no idea any of this was a thing.
But doesn't that add character, guys?
It does.
I love it.
You wouldn't think that, you hear your interview in a Playmate and we're talking about Chili's.
Right.
But I love the fact that it was before your chili thing. You didn't get hired out of your Playmate thing. You got hired off of you.
Yeah, I wasn't a Playmate then. I was a little college kid making tips at Chili's and thinking I'd rather have that job and have something on a resume at a young age. That
intrigued me the most is that point that you had it before the Playboy.
Awesome.
Oh, of course.
That's so much fun. And I'll tell you this. So I don't know how many years ago. Well, obviously we do. It was around 1998. The video calendar I watched, you talked about your, call it what you will, nervous about touching your hair, but you still do it to this day.
Oh my gosh.
You literally talked about it in your video calendar.
I don't even think I've ever seen that video calendar. Oh, you just called me out on it. I know it's a nervous thing. Look at me. I'm like,
no, not itching. You're brushing and going. And I watched you the whole time going, you do it to this day.
Still does it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you're you.
Oh, my
And that's
gosh.
what comes across
right
the whole time with your sportscasting and your interview today. And we cannot thank you enough for just you being you.
You guys, it was an easy interview because you're so likable and approachable and haven't you had it where it's not that way and you got to pull things out of people, but this was easy.
Good.
And we're drinking wine as we do it.
Well, we are. I think we're almost 2 bottles in at this point. So
I'm impressed that you drink the drink that the girl drinks.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'm sure you're not a Sauvignon Blanc fan, but
we cater to the ladies. Can you believe it?
I love it.
Right. The lady is, I think if we learned anything, Hef knew the lady is always right.
Yes.
So again, to Hef.
To Hef.
To you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank
you
guys
so much for coming on. And I'm not cutting you off,
welcome.
but please, let's talk about before we sign off, let's promote your NFT. Let's promote your Instagram to promote your NFT. That's what we're all about. Let's get you everything.
Yes. Everybody just get out there and go to Rogue Bunnies, my NFT, all the girls, we're all a family. So any of us that you want to support, but Rogue Bunnies has all of the info that you need on everything that we're doing. I mean, right now, when I get off of here, I'm going to go on the live poker tournament that they're all at right now. And you know who's really good?
Who?
Oh my gosh, Terry Harrison. Oh, she's such a good poker player. There was all these fans, and then she was down to the wire with them. Oh, and somebody else was really good. There were 2 Playmates that were in till the very end.
Good for them.
And then I stunk it up with, I think there was a lot of us that fell out really early.
Well, we used to do a lot of poker playing. So I definitely want to get in for one of these things. I think it would be a lot of fun.
To do it.
It would be a lot of fun.
The problem is,
I used to host Poker Royale. I did 2 different poker shows where I had to know what I'm talking about when I was doing the interviews after.
Yeah.
I forgot all of it. So I was faking my way through the game, but they're all excited that you're in the room with them. Well,
we try to get to more, but like I have a young daughter. I have her every other week. And when I don't have her, we're doing all of these things. So it's hard for a while. I was getting into all the rooms. We're getting into all the rooms, and I haven't been in a while, and we need to get back to it because we love all of you. And we're so excited to be involved in our tiny little way.
Man, you guys are great. I'm so glad we did this. I'm sorry it took forever to get it all together, but
it was worth it. Don't worry about it. It was worth it.
I didn't want to say anything wrong about the NFT stuff in the very beginning, but here it is months and months later, and I still didn't know how to describe it. So
I think I could be involved for the next 10 years. I still wouldn't know how to describe it. So
You'll always describe it better than any of us.
yeah.
oh my gosh. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Lisa. Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
so much.
Thank
so much
you.
for coming on.
Yeah,
Have a great one.
absolutely.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. The tavern is closed for now, but we'd love to have you back for more fun next time. Seriously though, get your asses out of here.